Hello everyone, welcome back. Jim here. I hope everyone's doing well and making great music. So today it's Musescore looking at a snare drum part, and we have three things on the menu. Real quick, we're going to be talking about changing an instrument from snare drum to snare drums off perhaps. And then we're also going to be looking at grace notes and how to apply stickings and slurs the most effective way. And then we're going to also just explore the drum editor and the drum note heads. Let's begin. Okay, so the first goal is to have snare on, snare off. Musescore doesn't have a snare off feature as far as I have discovered. So what can we do about that? Well, the first thing is if you don't like any of the sounds, then just keep the snare on and put the text, snare off. Let's go ahead and take a listen first. Here is the snare sound. So depending on your music, you might really need snares off. So measure 3 is actually concert toms, and it's, to me, very timpani sounding. Measure 5, and I know tabla is a whole different instrument. Measure 5 and 6 was tabla. It's not snares off. But what do you like? Okay, so before moving on, I just want to point out, after having a master's in percussion, having music in my whole life, I know tabla is not snare drum. Trust me. Tabla is like a whole other ecosystem, but using my ears and you looking at the software, what works as far as snares off? Frame drum sounded like a bass drum. Concert toms, also drum set toms, sounded like a timpani. So what gives? That's what I came up with. I'm thinking about people who are writing for a snare piece and they want 8 measures of snares off, and maybe it's just accompanying a flute or what have you. So hopefully that helps. Let's get to the next goal of this video. Instrument change is very normal in percussion. So first thing we need to do is go to F9 and then select text. You'll see a drop down over here, change instrument. You're gonna drag and drop change instrument, and then you will have an option. Common instruments, or if you really want to see what Musescore has, you can go to all instruments and then click on unpitched, and there's a giant menu here, which is great. Okay, so let's talk about stem direction. Snare drum, sometimes you might see the stems down. Oftentimes, traditionally, stems are up because sometimes there's a bass drum part underneath. So let's go to the drum editor and fix that. But before going to the drum editor, you can also just highlight, I highlighted measure 9 and 10, and press X, and the stems go up. Quick thought here, if you have already written a bunch of music that you have the stems down, then if you go to the editor and stems up, I don't think it fixes it, so you have to do the X. Let's try that actually. Kind of improvising on this video, but that's okay, keep things real. So to get to the drum editor, press N, then click Edit Drum Set. Let's just go to the acoustic snare, and we have stem direction. It's already saying up. Let's just go ahead and refresh that. Click Apply, we're gonna click OK. So it didn't change. Not a big deal, but if you do right in measure 11, moving forth, it should change. Here we go. Okay, there it is. All right, so that's important. I'm kind of glad I improvised. I would hate to see someone pull their hair out after writing, a whole page of snare drum and they want everything to go up and the editor's not working. Easy fix, you want to highlight those measures, press X on the keyboard. Let's go back to the drum editor. I had a subscriber ask about this note. They want the rim shot or cross stick to have a circle in it to change the note head. Pretty easy. You have a lot of options, so we're gonna go ahead and press N to get to the Edit Drum Set, click on Edit Drum Set. So we have rim shot up here. You can, I believe it does say side stick originally, so you can write in what you want. I was probably up to something, side stick. Since this is highlighted, when we're working with just that voicing, that side stick, these are your options. So the stem is down. But for acoustic snare, the stem is up. So keep that in mind. You want to adjust everything accordingly. So for side stick, we are going to go ahead and change the note head, and you're going to click on Edit Note Heads. Just to save time, we'll just go ahead and change the quarter note, but you want to make sure all the note heads are the same in every duration, unless if it's a special composition you're doing and with directions. So we're going to go all the way down to look for a note head that has an X and a circle. This would work. Circle X note head. Click Apply. Pretty big, so you can mess around with the style that you want. It is time for the grace notes and sticking. So we are going to go to F9 and then simply look for grace notes. I'm going to go ahead and just drag and drop, highlight the note, and then you have that. I'm going to emulate what I did in measure 13 because that's what we're going to learn. Before we do the sticking, let's talk about the slurs. Some players, composers, want to have the slur there, so you can see it measure 13. The best way I know how to do it from my discoveries, you're going to go to lines, and you are going to click on slur. You're going to drag and drop it to the first grace note, and now you're going to hold the shift key down right before you drop it, then the arrow key, so it lines up with that note head. That's the fastest way I know, so please leave a comment if you know a faster way. What we're going to do now is we're going to add sticking, so it looks like this. So if we add stickings to the first note, we're going to go to add, we're going to go to text, we're going to go to sticking. Watch what happens. It prompts to the primary note. So we would type it and then drag and drop, and I wouldn't prefer to do that. So what I do, highlight the note, then we go to add, and we are going to go to fingerings. Watch what happens, or fingering. So again, this is under add to text fingering right there. So now I am going to go ahead, uppercase L. I am going to go ahead and set the font size to maybe 6 for now. Press escape. You can drag it there. So what I do now is I copy that. I highlight the next note, paste. Highlight the next note, paste. And then I will, not going to make someone do 3 lefts there. That's pretty fancy. So that is how I work with stickings, with flams, drags, 3-stroke rough, whatever. You can use fingering. That works really well. And the rest, I just use fingering that way. I know some people use text. I prefer not to do that because text can get used a lot, and when you're formatting, it can get tricky. By the way, when we use fingering, I know what you're thinking, Jim, why don't you just click on it and then space bar and get to the next grace note, in this case, and then put in R? Well, you can't. It'll go to the primary note. So that's why I do the copy and paste thing. Just keep that out there. By the way, if you found value out of this video, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out. So now you have a better idea on how to wrestle snare parts. Please leave comments below if you have tips that you'd like to share with other viewers, as well as feel free to reach out and ask questions. Until next time, take care, happy music making. Bye-bye. I don't have my music.